Hi everyone, this is Tammy with Life Began in a Garden. In today's video, we're going to make these little spring crafts here that you see. And we're also going to go out to the laundry room where I have my seedlings growing, so I can give you an update on how they're doing. And today is also a special day for my sister Lisa with Our Shabby Cottage. Today is her birthday, and so at some point, hopefully you'll watch the rest of this video and then you'll jump over to her channel and wish her a happy birthday. She just put out a new video last night, and it's about organizing fabric and lace. So if you would like to go over there and tell her happy birthday, I'm sure she would love it. So here's an example of the things that I have been making, and it's just kind of an egg shape that I cut out using an old quilt and then made these out of it. The chamomile there that you're seeing is one of the plants that one of the seeds that I started, and we're going to go look at those and see how they are doing. And once we get through looking at the seeds, I will show you how to do this craft. I love these little things. I think they're so cute. And I love these little guys. I think they are doing great. So everything sprouted within a week from the time that I started the seedlings, and I'm really pleased with how they all turned out. I want you to pay attention to how close the grow light is to the plants there. So if you are doing any plants indoors, trying to start them from seed, make sure that your light is super close to them. It really needs to be as close as you can put it without it touching your tags that you have, your labels, or without it touching the plant itself. Or if you have a clear cover over it, then of course it doesn't need to touch it. So this is the scallions that I planted. They're just starting to come up. And some of these, I put too many seeds in it, and I'm going to need to go in and thin those out, but I will be doing that soon. But I think they've come up really well. I don't know, because it was more than one seed in each cell, I don't know how close to perfect germination that I got, but I'm very pleased with the amount that did germinate. And I think that they're going to be beautiful plants to have in my garden and in my yard. And this is the sage salvia. I'm also looking forward to having it growing. I love salvia. And this is a form of salvia. Salvia comes from the sage family. And then this is my western yarrow, which I'm also very excited about. It's like the wild yarrow that you might find if you went foraging. And even though I have yarrow in my garden, it is not the wild yarrow. And the wild yarrow is supposed to have better medical value to it than the hybrid variety has. And this is my cauliflower. And it did very well also. I have transplanted it into trays that hold 4 in each little pack. So they're called a 4-pack. And back there at the back you see 2 individual ones, and I'm going to show you how I transplanted those. And this is my gardener's journal, and I'm just showing you what I have documented in there so far. So I have written when they sprouted and the dates. And it's important, really, that you try to keep up with what you're doing and how long the sprouting took. And so here, I'm showing you some of the cauliflower. That one that I'm touching right there it came up really close to the one next to it. And so I just pinch it off, and that will stop its growth. And then the one next to it will get stronger because it's not competing with the one that I pinched off. So I'm getting it out of the cell, and I'm going to transplant it into one of those 4-packs that will give it more space to grow, more soil. I'm showing you the root system there. And I've already got the hole kind of poked out in the cell that I'm going to put it in. You just stick it down in there and tap it in. And once I'm finished with all this, I will lightly water that tray so that it has some water to start off with. Now this one has 2 in 1, again, like the other one did, but there's enough space in between them from where they're coming up from the soil that I can actually separate them and keep both of them. And so I fill up this little 2-pack here, and it was actually a 4-pack that's just been cut. And I'm going to scoop those out of there. And that little thing that I'm using to scoop them out with came with that tray pack that I bought. So it actually works pretty good with getting them out. So you just gently pull between the 2 plants and separate them. And you can see that they each have a good root system on them, and they should do well separated and repotted. So you just stick each of them down in there. Make sure you get their roots, because some of the roots are pretty long. So put the roots in first so they get down there where they need to be. And then lightly tap it in to secure it in place. And you will water that also. Okay, so now we're at the craft that I wanted to show you. I'm really excited about this one. I love how they looked. And you can see there that you could easily use them in a bowl filler. There's so many different ways that you could use these. They also would make great little gifts to give someone if their birthday's coming up, or just to welcome spring back in. Easter gift, that would make a good Easter gift also. So, or just to decorate your own home with. So this is an old quilt that I used, and then I decoupaged a napkin over the top of it. Okay, so you need your piece of quilt material or some kind of thick material that you want to do this with. And I have a template cut out there of an egg shape, and I just did that by hand. It works best if you fold it in half long ways so that each side ends up being identical when you cut it out, but just draw out one the way, the size and shape that you would like it to be, and then use that as your template. It is a good idea if you are making your own template that you use some type of semi-thick paper that is different on one side than it is on the other, or write the word front on one side and back on the other, so that when you cut this out, they end up being identical pieces, the front and the back piece. And it's kind of hard to cut out 2 at a time when you're cutting quilt material because it's so thick, so that's why I cut them out individually. But just go around it with your scissors and cut the whole piece out. And then once you get it cut out, take your template off and flip it over and cut the other side. And that's just to reassure that when you put those together, they're going to line up perfectly. This is really a very simple craft to do. It's very quick, and so many different possibilities of things that you can put on it. If you collect the napkins that you use to decoupage with, there's so many of them that would work. Or if you have a rub-on transfer, I think that would work well on this as well. So decide what, and once you get them cut out, then you put them together. And when you take it to the sewing machine, you can either pin the two pieces together in the middle, or just line them up with your hands and do them that way. So here I'm showing how to cut the back piece out, but that's all you need to do. Just line it up on your material and cut it out. So make sure that your pieces line up perfectly with each other. And if they don't, then go ahead and trim it off a little bit, whatever part is not lining up. And then take the piece that you decide you want to be the front of your egg, and take your napkin that you chose and make sure that you have removed all the plies from it except for the front one. Decide how you're going to place it on your egg shape. And then tear off any part that's just napkin with no print on it, or print that's on there that you don't want on there. Tear that part off, and then it's time to just glue it down on your fabric. And because I'm using a quilt here to glue it down with or onto, I do use quite a bit of Mod Podge on it. I don't let it just sit on there, but I put it on thicker than you would if you were gluing it onto something smooth. And I used the matte finish of Mod Podge, and I do not put any over the top of it. I just put it all on the fabric itself, and then pat the napkin down on top of it. I try not to rub it because it tears really easily, but just pat it down after you've got it on there. So this shows me putting the Mod Podge on, and that's about how thick I do the whole area. I only cover what I think is going to be where the napkin goes. So up at the top where my hand is at, I don't go all the way up there because the napkin's not going to be up there anyway. And when you put the Mod Podge on there, it makes the fabric a little bit stiffer. So it's just a good idea not to put it where you don't need it at. But you are going to need it on every spot that the napkin is going to be. Okay, so once you get it the way you want it, it's time to place the napkin on there. So just put it where you want it at and start tapping it down with your finger. Just kind of be light with it and try not to rub it. But you do want it to get in all those little cracks of the quilt. Laying a piece of plastic over the top of it and rubbing it that way doesn't work either, because there's so much Mod Podge on the quilt itself that it soaks through and makes the napkin too wet. So when you put plastic over it, it sticks to the plastic. I actually tried that and decided that was not good because it was tearing the napkin. So you need to really just do it by hand and just try to get it adhered as much as you can. Once you get it the way you want it, then just put it aside and let it dry. So instead of waiting for that to dry, this is another one that I need to sew together, so I'm going to show you how to do that using this one. I have my front and back lined up. If you would like to pin it in the center, feel free to do that, or use clips to hold it in place. But I just place it and then hold it with my fingers and just make sure it stays lined up. So line it up with the edge of your pressure foot, and using a straight stitch, just stitch all the way around. You need to start at the bottom part, but not the very center of it. You can see I'm kind of on the side there, and that's because you need that opening at the bottom to be able to stuff it. So make sure when you start sewing that you do a back stitch, and then keeping it lined up and keeping the two pieces of material, front and back, lined up with each other, just slowly stitch around the whole thing. And because we're sewing through two pieces of quilt material, it is fairly thick, so don't make your machine go too fast. Just let it take its time and go all the way around it until you get to the point where you feel like you need to stop on the other side. And stop soon enough, and when you do stop, back stitch it, but make sure you're leaving room for you to stuff it. And once you've done that, you could take it off the machine and stuff it, and then put it back on the machine to finish sewing it. But I just make sure that my needle is all the way down, like you see there, and I lift the pressure foot, and I leave it on the machine and stuff it while it's on the machine. And then once I get it stuffed, the amount that I feel like it needs to have in it, then I just finish sewing it up like that. And the amount of stuffing that you want in yours is entirely up to you, how full you want it to be, but you can see here kind of how much I'm putting. So once you get it, the amount you want in there, then just, if you left it in the machine, just continue to sew until you get around to where you started, and backstitch again, and then you're finished with it. If you did not leave it in the machine, then just start back where you left off at to make sure you line it upright and sew it closed. And then at this point, this is actually finished. If you want it to be finished, you can leave it without the twine on it that I showed on mine. And I still think it's very pretty like that, and depending on the image that you put on it, you might not want the twine on there. But if you do, then go ahead and wrap the twine around it. I wrapped it around mine 3 times and then tied it in a bow in the front. And then I flipped it over to the back and attached it, just sewing it in the center. I attached it to the quilt so that it wouldn't move around on me. But again, that part is completely optional. You can do that if you like. There's the bow. If you would rather not have the twine on yours, then yours is already finished. And there it shows in the center how I stitched it. I hope you enjoy these eggs, and I hope you will try them and see how easy they are. Remember, you can do them by machine or by hand. And please don't forget my sister's birthday, Lisa. Her birthday is today, and if you are one of her subscribers, jump over to her channel and wish her a happy birthday. And also, I hope that you will start your plants and get them going if you haven't already, because it's very enjoyable to start something from a seed and watch it grow. And if you like this video and you want to learn more about plants and more about crafting with things that represent nature, then please like and subscribe to my channel. And please continue to watch. Share it with people that you think might like it. And by the way, today is January 25th, and I'm telling you that part just so you know that that is Lisa's birthday. Thank you very much for watching my channel, and may God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.